Mine progenitors did abandon me at a station of fuel, as a jest most foul. Let us observe the passage of time until he arrives at his abode. I did not return henceforth. 2 decades hence, at last, they did uncover my whereabouts. This morn, a multitude of 39 calls hath gone unanswered. Never did I imagine I would recount this tale, yet upon witnessing a fleeting moment on that platform of fleeting thoughts, wherein guardians impart wisdom unto their progeny, a spark ignited within me. Though I have reached the age of 33, the scent of gasoline and the warmth of that summer's breath from 2 decades past linger still in my memory. Mine progenitors, Gerald and Denise, were of the ilk that embraced a fervent affection tempered by sternness. In the tender years of youth, each moment unfolded as a lesson in existence or a trial to forge one's character. They would rouse me from my slumber at the hour of 3 in the morn. To tend to the verdant expanse, forsooth, I did neglect mine duties on the morrow past, or compel me to traverse the path to the academy amidst the tempest, when the chariot of conveyance did elude me, albeit my mother was bound for that very course. That morn of July did commence as any other day of summer's embrace. As we journeyed back from our visit to my sister Sabrina, who resides in the hallowed halls of academia, we traversed a distance of 4 hours from our abode. In the rearward seat, I found myself in a drowsy reverie, the melodies from my iPod weaving a gentle tapestry of sound around me. Verily, I find myself in the company of mine own past. My father, in need of fuel, did steer our chariot to a humble station, nestled in the midst of desolation along the great thoroughfare of I-95. "Scott, prithee, fetch me a cup of coffee," father did proclaim with a commanding voice from the chariot's helm. With great reluctance, I emerged from my slumber, seized his coin, and ventured within. The keeper of the coin was an elder gentleman, appearing as though he had been vanquished by the sweltering embrace of the sun. The contraption for brewing coffee lay in disrepair. Thus I found myself in a state of anticipation whilst he toiled to prepare a new batch. Upon my return to the world beyond, I found the carriage had vanished into the ether. In the beginning, I was led to believe they had relocated to another source of water. Then mine eyes beheld our weary steed, the battered Camry, as it ventured forth upon the highway. I lingered in that moment, the warmth of my brew fading, as I beheld their retreating lights vanish into the night. Mine device did emit a gentle vibration. A missive from Mother. "Pray, let us observe the passage of time as thou dost journey to thy dwelling place. Take heed, for herein lies a lesson in the art of resolving conundrums. That most vexing visage of mirth. I did attempt to summon thee by the ringing of the bell. To the realm of silence thy call dost venture, each and every occasion. Lo, after the passage of 20 minutes, Mother did dispatch another missive. Pray, do not trouble thyself to make a call. Text thy sire doth declare that thou must unravel this matter on thine own. Until we meet again upon thy return to thine abode. Pray, lend me thine ear." This was but a trifling deed among their many mischiefs. In the chill of February, 2 years past, they did cast me out from the abode, forsooth, due to my meagre C+ in the study of chemistry. Perchance a night beneath the chill of the heavens shall sharpen thy mind for thy scholarly pursuits. In that moment, I didst trespass into our garage and took my rest therein. They were most vexed about the shattered pane. Compelled me to part with my coin, earned from the golden arches. Lo, as I stood at yon gas station, a spark of understanding didst ignite within me. Or perchance shattered. As I gazed upon the steaming cup of coffee cradled in my hand, a revelation dawned upon me. I was at an end. Merely accomplished. From mine summer toil at the local pool, I did amass a sum of near $140. My satchel lay within the carriage, yet I possessed my purse and musical device. I did return within the confines of the establishment, and inquired of the keeper of coins the location of the nearest conveyance station for the passage of travelers. Yonder, a distance of 2 miles, he did declare, gesturing forth with his hand. "Art thou well, young one?" "Indeed, I did proclaim." "Pray, allow me but a moment to summon forth a voice upon the ether." I did summon my Aunt Lola, the sister of my mother, with whom they had ceased communication long ago, for she had fostered unseemly conduct by bestowing upon me a device when they had confiscated mine. Upon the second toll, she did answer the call. "Pray tell, where did they abandon thee?" What transpired thereafter doth remain somewhat obscured in the mists of memory. Aunt Lola resided 4 states distant, yet her actions remain etched in my memory forever. She summoned a chariot for my conveyance. In those days, it bore not that name. It was a humble carriage summoned to convey me to the station of the buses, whereupon I procured a ticket through the wonders of the internet. Hasten thyself hither, she did proclaim. We shall unravel the remainder in due course. Mine device did incessantly vibrate with missives from my maternal figure. Pray, do not summon Lola forth. Thou art advised to tread thy way homeward, young sir. Your sire doth harbour great disappointment. This disposition of thine must needs come to an end. I didst sever their numbers, extinguished my device, boarded yon carriage, and beheld the verdant fields unfurl for 6 hours hence. The visage upon their return to a desolate abode must have been a sight to behold. It was later revealed to me by Sabrina that they did return to the gas station that very night, anticipating my presence there, awaiting their arrival. They did submit a report regarding the missing individual, yet it was swiftly cast aside when Aunt Lola presented the emancipation documents she had already begun to prepare. 2 decades have passed since that time. Upon the conclusion of my scholarly pursuits, I resided with my dear Aunt Lola, attained my general educational development, and subsequently acquired further certifications. I forged a life anew, honing my skills in the art of repair, and ventured forth to establish my own enterprise. In due course, I encountered a companion, and together we welcomed offspring into our fold, yet I must confess, I did not engage in the playful lessons of life with them. Upon reflection, I believed that chapter of my existence had drawn to a close, yet lo and behold, the ringing of my office phone pierced the stillness of yesterday. The visage upon the caller ID revealed a number long forgotten, one that had not graced my eyes in the span of 2 decades. Though I did not answer the summons, they sought me out, and now I find myself besieged by 39 missed calls, and the count doth grow ever higher. Lo! I seldom cast mine eyes upon my device whilst engaged in discourse of import. It is a decree I have adhered to since the inception of my enterprise in the realm of construction. Yet, as I departed the chamber of deliberation yestereve and beheld a multitude of 39 calls unreturned, my heart sank with a heavy foreboding. Most were from digits unfamiliar to mine, yet 3 bore the name of my sister Sabrina, with whom I have not exchanged words in the span of 2 decades. Forsooth, for those who hath missed mine initial missive, a swift recapitulation shall ensue. At the tender age of 16, mine own progenitors, Gerald and Denise, didst abandon me at a humble gas station, a jest intended to impart the virtues of independence upon my youthful spirit. Rather than returning to mine own abode, I did embark upon a bus to my aunt's dwelling, 2 states hence, and cast not a backward glance. Fashioned mine own existence, established a firm of construction, 2 decades of cherished tranquillity, until the day that hath just passed. The initial message was from Sabrina, weeping in sorrow. Pray, Scott, do answer thy call. Thy mother and father have discovered thee. They find themselves in a tempest of turmoil. Pray, do summon me once more, if it pleases thee. Not those individuals. Thou art but a mere reflection of thyself. My brew hath turned to chill as I hearkened to the discourse of my companions. Many a missive came from my progenitors, oscillating betwixt the art of inducing guilt and the fervent demand for my response. Thy mother doth suffer from an ailment. She is not. How dost thou forsake thine own kin? It is indeed a curious irony to hear such words from their lips. We did err but once. Pray, but one? That doth provoke much mirth. The final message left upon the ether was from my father, his speech a muddled tapestry of slurred utterances. Dost thou believe thyself superior to us with thy grand affairs? Thou art shaped by our hands. Thou art in our debt. In my humble carriage, I lingered for an age, mine eyes fixed upon the device that summoned me with a flurry of incessant calls. At long last, I did send a missive to Sabrina. Gathering shall take place on the morrow. Denny's upon the 5th Avenue. At the break of day, the hour strikes 7. Attend in solitude or forego thy presence. She appeared before me, a vision reminiscent of my fondest recollections. Merely advanced in years. That familiar, anxious tendency to tear at napkins persists. They find themselves on the brink of losing their abode. She did proclaim her thoughts ere she found her seat. Father hath engaged in the perilous game of chance. Mother hath exhausted her credit, leaving naught but empty purses. They didst discover thy company's website and they do seek coin. I have completed my task. The fair maiden did present a cup of coffee. Mine hands did not tremble as I poured the cream forth. Pray, divulge unto me all that thou dost know. It hath come to light that they have been observing the social media of mine enterprise for many a month. My father doth firmly believe that I am indebted to them for mine own triumph. They require a sum of $50,000 to avert the dire fate of foreclosure. Sabrina did persist in her apologies, proclaiming her efforts to hinder their attempts to reach out to me. What reason have we to extend our aid unto them? I did inquire. After all that hath transpired, she didst commence weeping. Spoke of the increasing troubles wrought by father's indulgence in the bottle, mother's penchant for acquiring goods in abundance, how they cast the blame upon all others, yet remain blind to their own faults. They remain our progenitors, she murmured. Nay, I did declare. At that fateful gas station, the bond of parenthood did cease to be. What dost thou perceive as the distinction twixt thee and me, Sabrina? Thou art yet clinging to the hope that they shall transform. Mine device did emit a gentle vibration. Mother, I beseech thee, once more dost thou call upon me? I did refuse the offer and withdrew my purse with a flourish. I shall bear the cost of our morning repast. Cease all communication henceforth. Whatever their next endeavor, prithee, do not summon me. Pray, Scott. I do assure thee, my intent is earnest. Thou art my sister, and my affection for thee doth abound. Yet I am not the remedy thou seekest. Let them descend. As I traversed the path to my trusty steed of metal, lo! Sabrina did hasten forth in pursuit of my retreating form. Hark! They approach thy chamber, she did exclaim. On the morrow's dawn, mother hath discovered the abode's location. I endeavored to halt their advance. I do solemnly vow. I merely inclined my head in silent accord. Very well, let them approach. Upon my return to the chamber of my toil, I was met with a multitude of 27 fresh missives awaiting my attention. It seems the entire kin doth proclaim that I am a callous wretch, a son who hath forsaken them and now turns a deaf ear in their hour of distress. A timeless script of self-obsession. Yet, prithee, what they remain unaware of is this. In the span of a single day, I have engaged in a multitude of dialogues of mine own making. It appears that their mortgage is held by a financial institution with which I have previously engaged. They find themselves 3 moons in arrears on their dues. Lo! The spectre of foreclosures hath already commenced its grim march. On the morrow's dawn, they shall enter my chamber, believing themselves to possess the upper hand. Imagining they possess the power to bring me low, to twist my will to their design. Compel me to serve as their future sustenance. They are blissfully unaware of the tempest that approaches. At the break of dawn, I have arranged a gathering with my legal counsel. When shall they make their entrance? All shall be set aright. Do they seek to discern the measure of my worth? Indeed, most excellent. Let them behold the true nature of the man their progeny hath become. And what doth occur when one doth press another beyond their limits? I am no longer that timid youth of 16. I shall not take flight. And I have ceased to don the mask of cordiality. We shall provide an update on the morrow, once they do appear. Something doth whisper to me that it shall be a most wondrous spectacle indeed. Revise. To those inquiring, verily, I am chronicling all that transpires. Indeed, I possess a safeguard. Nay, I shall not yield. 2 decades past, they did make their fateful selection. Now the stage is set for my performance. Revise the second version. Cease thy missives regarding the matter of familial forgiveness. Thou hast not traversed the trials I have endured. Blood doth not justify cruelty. Verily, the gas station was but a mere glimpse of the vast depths that lie beneath. Behold, an update the second hath arrived. Greetings, noble denizens of Reddit. Much hath transpired since my previous missive. Verily, I had not intended to make an update with such haste. Yet, following the events of yestermorn, I find it imperative to unburden my soul. In the confines of mine office, perusing through the scrolls of invoices, a summons from Jenny, our fair receptionist, didst break the silence. Scott, there are 2 souls present who fervently seek an audience with thee. They proclaim themselves as thy progenitors. Mine belly did sink low. Since the moment they discovered my presence, I had been anticipating this turn of events. Yet it struck with great force. I did bid Jenny to send them forth. It would be wise to confront this matter directly. Through the transparent barriers of my chamber, I beheld Gerald and Denise approach with measured steps. They appeared aged, weary and spent. Father's distinguished mustache had taken on a hue of gray now, and the golden tresses of my mother could not conceal the profound creases that adorned her gaze. They adorned themselves in their finest attire, fit for the sacred day. The very garment of modest means that mother donned for the house of worship, and the venerable brown garb of my father, which hath ever been ill-fitted. As they didst enter, mother was overtaken by a flood of tears. Not of the tranquil sort. Utterly dramatic weeping upon the stage. My cherished lad, behold, how thou hast blossomed into maturity. She did attempt to embrace me. I did take a step back. Pray, let us maintain a decorum befitting the occasion, I proclaimed, indicating the seats with a wave of my hand. What dost thou desire? Father swelled with a certain gravitas, as was his custom, when he prepared to deliver his sermon. Pray tell, dear son, is this the manner in which one ought to address their mother? Upon the passage of so many years? Pray, cease thy trifling, I interjected. Thou didst not traverse 2 decades in search of my presence for the sake of longing. Thou hast discovered me now, for thou art in want of something. What dost thou seek? The lamentations of my mother grew ever more pronounced. What manner of heart dost thou possess, that such cruelty doth dwell within thee? We have erred but once, a mere trifling misstep. Is it a blunder, perchance? I did chuckle. It was not a sound that brought joy. Thou didst abandon thy youthful progeny, a mere lad of 16 summers, at a wayside station, 200 miles hence from thine abode, as a jest most ill-conceived. Then thou didst depart with mirth, proclaiming, Let us observe how long it shall take him to return to his abode. That was no error, I assure thee. That was the final blow after countless seasons of thy wretched sport. We returned for thee, father exclaimed, rising to his feet. We did return after the passage of an hour, yet thou wert no longer present. Indeed, I was absent, and I did remain absent. The wisest choice I hath ever made. I didst draw forth my device, and did press the button to capture the moment. Pray, declare thy purpose or take thy leave. At that moment, the verity was revealed. Amidst the lamentations of the mother and the tempestuous cries of the father, they laid bare their plight. They had secured a second mortgage upon the dwelling for father's seemingly infallible venture. Lo, they find themselves 6 moons past due in their obligations. The bank hath set its sights upon the foreclosing of the estate. They sought a sum of $175,000 to preserve their abode from impending peril. Thou hast achieved much, dear mother lamented, pointing towards my chamber of toil. Verily, thou art capable of aiding thine own progenitors, art thou not? I permitted them to conclude. Then I didst reach into mine own desk and withdrew a folder from its depths. Strange it is that thou dost bring forth the mention of the dwelling. Lo, upon learning that thou didst seek my presence, I embarked upon a quest for knowledge. Discovered the tidings of the impending foreclosure. Thus, I did persuade my company to acquire thine mortgage obligation from the bank. The stillness was most exquisite. Their visages transformed from bewilderment to astonishment to trepidation. What dost thou mean? What doth that signify? Father's voice had waned in its once mighty resonance. Thou hast a span of 30 days to depart from the premises. Last week, my company did acquire it through lawful means at the auction. We are casting aside the old to make way for a new venture. Mother did commence her lamentations. Father's visage did turn a deep shade of violet. Thou canst not undertake this task. Lo, that is our abode. Did the gas station serve as my abode? Verily, I bestow upon thee a span of 30 days. Thou hast bestowed upon me but half a minute. Father didst leap across the table. I held my position firm whilst the guardians of order did hasten forth. I had them poised and ready. As they did pull my progenitors forth, my mother did cry out, branding me as wicked, that I would descend to the depths of despair. Father didst threaten with legal actions. I beheld them, as if through a pane of crystal, whilst they were led away from my sight. Perpetually chronicling all that unfolds, mine device did emit a gentle vibration, a missive from my dear sister Sabrina. They did but weep upon my name. What hast thou done? I did respond in kind. What lessons were imparted unto me? Beware of thine own self. For 2 decades, I have toiled and labored to rise from the depths of obscurity. Now I shall employ all that I have gleaned to dismantle the dwelling that was never truly a sanctuary. The dismantling shall commence in the forthcoming month. Upon completion, I shall provide an update. Revise. Mine aunt, the sister of my mother, who did graciously take me under her wing, merely rang forth. She doth take great pride in my endeavors. That signifies far greater than any vengeance could ever aspire to. Last tidings I present unto thee. First, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to you all for the kindness bestowed upon my prior musings. Never did I imagine that my tale would garner such acclaim. What transpired in the recent days? Verily, it may be said that fate hath at last laid its hand upon them. Upon acquiring their abode at the grand auction, by lawful means, via my enterprise, mine progenitors, Gerald and Denise, did utterly lose their wits. They commenced the summoning of each and every kin, revealing unto them the lamentable truth of their ungrateful progeny, who hath cast them forth into the cold embrace of the street. Verily, they did not anticipate that I would possess evidence of all matters. Recall, if thou wilt, those ancient devices of Nokia that possessed the ability to capture conversations? I have retained a memento from yonder days. Did their jest find itself captured in the annals of time? They did laugh as they did depart. Let us observe the passage of time until he arrives at his abode. Preserved it through the passage of time. Moreover, there existed a complete collection of antiquated birthday missives adorned with delightful sentiments such as, "Perchance if thou wert not such a source of dismay." Accumulated reserves. 2 decades of chronicled torment to the spirit. All arranged with utmost precision. On the morn of yester-eve, I did dispatch a missive to the whole kin, sharing all that was to be shared. Each and every kin didst have the fortune to hear that recording. Behold yonder cards. Peruse the missives exchanged through the ether. By the hour of noon, my sister Sabrina did summon me, her voice laden with tears. It hath come to pass that my beloved progenitors hath been crafting a most dissimilar portrait throughout the years. They proclaimed to all that I fled, claiming it was due to my indulgence in substances. Timeless. Yet lo, herein lies the true delight. Recall, if thou wilt, my declaration of intent to bring their abode to naught. Verily, I did precisely that. All permits were prepared and in readiness, as if the stage were set for a grand performance. Summoned them forth to witness. They did arrive in the company of my dear Aunt Lola, mother's sibling, imagining she might impart some wisdom unto me. Instead, they found themselves in the foremost seats, witnessing the tragic dismantling of their cherished abode. Mother did raise her voice in lamentation regarding her verdant plot. Father did declare his intent to pursue legal action. With what coin, dear Gerald? There I lingered, partaking of my brew, the warm elixir in hand, beholding their descent into despair. 2 decades of their torment, departed in but 2 hours' time. The countenance of those present, when the great machine did trample upon the cherished blooms of mother's esteemed rose garden, was one of utter dismay, invaluable beyond measure. Yet my tale was not complete. Lo, that land doth lie in a fair and worthy spot. Rather than pursuing grand designs, I am crafting dwellings that all may afford. 20 units. Fair and just recompense for habitation. Preference bestowed upon those who tread the path of single parenthood and their progeny. Verily, the plans have been duly sanctioned. The finest aspect. Mine shall be called Annabel Haven. following the kind-hearted woman who welcomed me into her abode at the tender age of 16. She departed from this earthly realm last year, yet she would take great solace in the knowledge that her name graces an endeavor aiding those in dire straits. Mine own progenitors did seek to incite the neighboring folk against me. Presented unto them the cherished images of our joyous youth, a tapestry woven with the threads of familial bliss. Alas, those neighbors do recall the echoes of my weeping that once pierced the stillness of the night. Lo, one among them, fair Mrs. Henderson, did approach and embrace me with warmth. She lamented, with a heavy heart, the missed opportunity to summon the guardians of innocence. This morn did herald the ultimate clash. Once more, they graced my chamber, this time bearing the weight of humility and remorse upon their countenances. Father was moved to tears, a sight most rare and poignant. They proclaimed that they were on the brink of losing their shelter. Mother did vow to grant me her pardon, should I lend my assistance to them. I permitted them to discourse for a full 10 minutes without interruption. Then, I did present unto them a parchment of application for the lease of one of the newly fashioned abodes. Informed them that they are most welcome to submit their application, akin to any other candidate, yet they must provide references and ensure a pristine credit examination. What countenance dost they bear? Gentlemen, would that I possessed an image to behold. Yet we are thy progenitors. Mother did cry out in distress. Father commenced with his customary oration, after all that we have bestowed upon thee. I merely smiled and replied, indeed, after all that you have wrought, this is precisely what thou art worthy of. The demolition crew shall commence their labors at the hour of 7 in the morn on the morrow. Pray, do not neglect to carry forth thy garden gnomes. They continue to besiege my device with incessant calls. Sabrina doth proclaim that they shall reside at a modest inn, asserting their intent to bring forth a lawsuit against me. May fortune smile upon thy endeavor. All my actions were in full accordance with the law. Their abode shall meet its demise on the morrow, and I shall broadcast it live upon the Instagram for all kin to behold. Pray, dost thou know what? What dost thou find amusing? For many a year, I have harbored visions of retribution, conjuring forth a myriad of fantastical schemes. Yet, in the final reckoning, allowing them to confront the fruits of their deeds brings a satisfaction surpassing any scheme I might have devised. They cast aside their progeny for a jest most vile, and now they bear witness as all they have wrought is dismantled to aid those they once deemed beneath them. On the morrow, I shall bear forth lawn chairs and popcorn to witness the grand spectacle of their abode's demise. Who among thee desires to partake in this venture? To those inquiring, verily, I am indeed proceeding with a plan for affordable housing, having already forged an alliance with a local non-profit to manage the applications. Verily, I shall not entertain the thought of revisiting my choice. Some bridges are fated to remain in ashes. Edit 2 for those inquiring about my sister. Rest assured that Sabrina and I are in the process of reconciling our differences. At the tender age of but 8 summers, the fateful events did unfold. One cannot fault her for placing her trust in their deceitful words. Next week, we shall partake in the delightful ritual of coffee together. Verily, this hath taken flight beyond measure. Gratitude for the multitude of honors bestowed upon me. And to those who would deem my words too severe, I bid thee to reflect upon the plight of one abandoned at a gas station at the tender age of 16, and ponder how forgiving thy heart would remain.